What's up, gamers and collectors? DGC back with another video, and today we are talking about my PlayStation 5 collection. Got a pretty good sized collection at this point going now. I've had the PS5 and now the Pro since day one, so I really enjoy the system, really love it. Feel like I've played enough of it to really just kind of talk about the massive, great library that it has at this point in time. There's actually more exclusives for it than you would think there are. You just kind of have to dig deep for them, but let's go ahead and check it out. Also, this video is sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Just kidding. Wish it was. Maybe one day. If you like, comment, and subscribe, that could happen. So first off the bat, I want to just go over the accessories real quick. Stuff that's like worth buying and not worth buying, just in case you're like getting into a PS5 now. I never buy the media remotes. However, when the PS5 first came out, I bought the media remote. I got the original Pulse headset for the PS5. There's like an updated one now. They're all basically the same. I had the PlayStation 3 one back in the day. I had the PlayStation 4 one back in the day. The build quality is finally decent on the PS5 initial Pulse headset, so I assume the second one is also good. The PS3 headset, it lasted a very long time for me, but the cups did eventually start to wear out because I used it too much. Kind of is what it is. It's just the nature of a headset, but the build quality has gone up with them throughout the generations of the PlayStations. I do recommend these. They're very good for like when you're playing like horror games and that kind of stuff, and you really just want to immerse yourself, as well as when you're in the VR headset. This is better than the little tiny earbuds that they come with. This is obviously easier and more convenient to put into your ears versus this, and then you got this whole cumbersome thing on your head with all this. But this definitely sounds more immersive, and you get the 3D, whatever Sony calls the 3D audio effects that they have in their headset. So it is really nice. It definitely worth it, I would say, for the price. As well as the remote. I will buy these in the future for PlayStation 6. I'll definitely buy the remote again. I use this all the time. It runs on AA, I think it is. And I've replaced them maybe 4 times in the last like 5-6 years of owning the PS5. So really it lasts like basically an entire year on one set of batteries. It's great. You can basically do the entire whole menu of the console with just this remote, whatever you want to do, movies, music, whatever. So it is pretty nice. The one thing that does kind of annoy me is you've got Disney Plus, Netflix, Spotify, and YouTube. I'm more of a Pandora man myself just because that's what I signed up for 10 plus years ago, and I don't feel like switching to different apps and stuff. And then Disney, I don't really do a lot of Disney. I do more Amazon Prime and Netflix as well, and then YouTube too. But so I wish the buttons were maybe customizable, like in the software. Like if you could change them, that would be kind of cool. Maybe next time. So off the launch though, I also got an extra controller, and then I got the official charging dock as well. Now the charging dock is actually super nice. It's great because these controllers really only last maybe 6 to 8 hours on a charge, so not very long. So having the charging dock and then having 2 is pretty convenient for not like I game like 8+ hours straight, but if I game 6 hours one day, throw it on the charger, then you can just go to the next one the next day, and it's pretty nice. And then earlier I had mentioned the PlayStation VR 2. I was a day one supporter of this as well. I did also have the PSVR 1 as well. I really supported the PSVR 1 a ton. I had probably over 50 games for it when it originally had ended its lifespan of the PS4, PSVR 1. So I had to pick up the PSVR 2. I'm going to say it off the rip. I think Sony really let us down this time. It came out kind of strong. The Horizon Call of the Wild are probably some of the best graphics you'll see this generation, bar none, VR or not. That game looks absolutely amazing. And then in a VR headset, it's fantastic. With that being said, though, to my knowledge, that's the only first-party big game that we really got for the PSVR 1 was Horizon. We got Moss 1 and 2, which aren't first-party. I think that's Sony paid for those to be on the PS4, but those are just PS4 upscales. We don't have an Astrobot. We don't have a Wipeout. We don't even have Wipeout and Astrobot ported up from the PS4 to the PS5 VR, which just makes no sense to me, because how much could that possibly cost Sony to upgrade the resolution and then change the controls over to the new controls. I would buy them again. Wipeout in VR is absolutely insane. It's one of the funnest experiences you'll have in VR. And then we got Firewall again, which was really good, but that game, it died out so incredibly fast. That was a huge game on PSVR 1, and then PSVR 2, it came out strong, but they didn't really add a lot of content, and it just died again real quick. So PSVR, I don't think Sony can fool me 3 times. I don't think I would go in for a 3rd time. If you can find this really cheap for like $200 or less, go for it. But at the current price, even still, it's about $400 new. It's not worth it. It's just not. It's just way too much money for the library. And then getting into the library here in a sec, I actually have the VR library pulled up here because it's all essentially digital. So we got Operation Wolf Returns, Arizona Sunshine Remake, Metro Awakening VR, Alien, Hitman, Underdogs, Resident Evil 4, Gran Turismo 7, Richopolis, Never Say Goodbye, Arizona 2, Madison VR, Mixture, Happy Funland, Epic Roller Coaster, Vertigo 2, that's a pretty cool game, Tennis Court, Firewall, Crossfire, Horizon, Cactus Cowboy, that was interesting, shitty graphics, but interesting game. VR Skate, again, cool concept to play VR with the skateboard with the motion controls. It just didn't quite work very well with the motion controls. Vegas Infinite, Afterlife VR, Pixel Rip, that's a cool game. Switchback, so I'm sorry, this is another first-party game. That is, what the fuck was that game? Until Dawn people made that. We got Desynchra, Pavlov, After the Fall, Into the Smoke. I did a review on that. Wasn't really pleased with that game. Not a very good game. Resident Evil 7, Gold Digger 2, or Cave Digger 2, pretty cool game. Rez, Puzzle Places, and then Cosmic Nausea. So, like, the games that are actually worth playing in VR, obviously Resident Evil 4 is fucking amazing. That's a really good arcade game. That's really fantastic. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's really good, but the graphics are really outdated on Hitman at this point. Also, Sunshine, really good. Gran Turismo 7 looks phenomenal. Vertigo 2 is really good. So other than those, like, 7 games, I think that was pretty... Firewall's good as well, but not a lot of people playing it anymore. Horizon's really good. Pixel Ripped, there's like 2 or 3 Pixel Rips. Those are really fun games. But other than that, those are like basically all the good PSVR 2 games, so there's really not a lot of them out there. So I gotta be honest, I would stick clear of the PlayStation VR 2 unless Sony really just drops the ball and says, you know what, we're porting all these PSVR 1 games and there's going to be a ton of them. Alright, into the thing you actually came here for. There's roughly, 40 or 50 games here for the physical games here. So we're going to go into, I guess this is basically all the exclusives up front here. This is arguably one of the best looking games on the PS5. And then also just one of the most fun games. And it kind of holds its value, and it's just a really stellar entry in this very long-running franchise for PlayStation. It is my favorite PlayStation franchise, that being Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I fully beat it originally when it came out, and then I beat it again a second time, and then I've now played it about a half of a time, and it's on my 2026 list to rebeat on the PS5 Pro, which they did do a massive graphical upscale for it essentially, and performance and everything, and it just looks flawless. It's just such an amazing game. This is a really good excuse to own a PlayStation 5. Yes, you can play it on PC, but I don't know. To me, playing something like this is just, it's like playing Mario on the PC. It's just not the same. You play it on the Nintendo. You play Ratchet and Clank on your PlayStation, where it makes sense to play it, in my opinion. Here's an exclusive that is no longer an exclusive, but it was originally, and that being Deathloop. And this is now Arcane Studios, which I believe, Microsoft definitely bought them. That was part of the Bethesda acquisition. But I believe they shut down Arcane. And that's really unfortunate because Arcane is, most notably for me, the Dishonored people. When Dishonored 1 and 2 came out, those were really early into my PC gaming lifespan, and I just really fell in love with the Dishonored franchise because I remember getting them kind of cheap, and I just played them over and over and over again. Dishonored's a very good game that you can just kind of play over and over and over again. And Deathloop is very similar to Dishonored. If you ever played those and you're curious about Deathloop, you can get this for like $10. Ratchet and Clank about 30, so still really cheap. Here is Uncharted Legacy of the Thieves Collection. So this is just Uncharted 4 and then Uncharted. What did they call the other one? I don't even remember. The Lost Legacy. So Uncharted 4 is obviously the really good one. I played that last year on the PS5 Pro. Oof, does that look amazing. Lost Legacy is also pretty good. It's got Nadine and I don't remember the other chick's name. Chloe. Chloe and Nadine is who's in. And then the brother, Sam, is also in the Lost Legacy. Really wonderful package here. You could typically get this for about $20. So really good games, even if you just get it on the PS4 or the Pro. But I would recommend it on the PS5 because that's where it's going to look the best. And then even on the Pro, PS5 Pro, that goes up to 4K 60, I think. And it just looks absolutely killer. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Really good game. I have not played the DLC for this, and it's something I've always wanted to do. I never got it way back. I played the full game PS4, and then I played it again on PS5, but I never did the DLC. If I were to do it, I would probably want to play the base game, then play the DLC again, just kind of do it all in one sweep, but you're talking probably 60 hours of gameplay at that point. So that's a lot of work to do it that way. You could typically get Ghost of Tsushima for like $20. Ghost of Yotai here. So this is a wonderful game. It has no woke culture in it. I did fully beat this game. I loved every bit of it. It's just as good, if not better, than the first one. So what? You play a girl, whatever. It's a really well done story. It really is. There's at no point in time was there any unnecessary romantic stuff thrown into the game just for the sake of it. There was literally none of that. You're really just playing like a heartfelt revenge story of and no spoilers, or minor spoilers. Your parents both get brutally massacred at the beginning of the game. The intro to this game and the opening to this game is absolutely phenomenal. It's just really worth owning a PS5 just to play this. And as of right now, this is the only way you're going to play it is on a PS5. Wonderful game. The visuals, the fluidity of the combat and everything. Just a wonderful game. This is still kind of on the pricier side because it's still a relatively new release. This came out like fall, Christmas time, and you're still probably going to pay at least $50 minimum for that. But for me, I would say it's worth it. It took me about 45 hours to beat the game, and I enjoyed every minute of it. It was a wonderful game. Very early on game for the system was, actually a launch title, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Really, again, a wonderful little title. Really enjoyed the hell out of this. It was the right length of a game, but I think a little too much money for the length of the game, if that makes sense. I enjoy shorter stuff like this. This was still action-packed. It was still filled with content, a lot of extra content you could do, and it was the perfect amount of time because you could kind of beat the game in about 15 to 18 hours, give or take. Maybe even 12 hours if you rush it. And I think this was 40 when it came out. So a little bit on the pricier side for that amount of content. But I would still even say at $40, this is still worth it. And then the actor that actually portrays Miles does a really good job. Really good game. I really enjoyed it. And it was a good Spider-Man 1.5 game to kind of bridge the two. And then that brings us to Spider-Man 2 itself. Really wonderful game here. Enjoyed the hell out of this. I like what they're doing with the story. At the end, well, spoilers, but this game's been out for a couple years at this point, so if you haven't played it by now, sorry for you. But I kind of like what they're doing with Venom in the game. And then at the end, I believe it was Harry, and then you could see the Venom in the tank with Harry Osborn. So that was kind of cool. Or was that at the beginning? Maybe that was the end of Spider-Man 1. I don't know. I can't even remember. Actually, you know what? I remember at the end of the game, you're in the prison again, and I think you see the Rhino, Doc Ock. Or no, the Rhino died. You see Doc Ock for sure in the prison at the end of the last cutscene. And I think he's talking to... Because the Scorpion dies also, so I forget who he was talking to. I think he was talking to the Hobgoblin, maybe, is who it was. I can't remember, but it was definitely Doc Ock. I know that for sure. So he's probably going to be the big bad, or one of the big baddies in Spider-Man 3, kind of like a revenge story in Spider-Man 3. So I can't wait for that. So Spider-Man 2, you could still pick that up for about $40 at this point. All right, so here's one that kind of came out of left field. I didn't really feel the need for Sony to do this, and I think they charged a little too much for it. Horizon Zero Dawn, the remastered edition, comes with the DLC, all that stuff. They fully updated the graphics, same as the Horizon 2 game, Forbidden West. And this game is wonderful. It's a 10 out of 10 game for sure, bar none. And the DLC to this is really great. Worth playing all the way the game and then the DLC all the way through, and you'll really have a great time. For the price, though, this launched at $50, and it typically hovers around $50. I think that's a little much for a game that's not that old, but old enough to where, did it really need a remaster? It definitely looks a lot better, and no doubt about that. But at the same time, this should have probably came out at like 30, and then I think, one, it would have sold better, and it would have got more people into the franchise, and two, it just, I don't know, I waited till it was on sale to get it. It's a hard pill to swallow at 50. If you've never played it, it's worth 50. If you have played it, I'd say try to get it around 20, just because it's an older game, so it shouldn't be that much. Then we got Horizon 2 Forbidden West, the complete edition. So this actually comes, I beat the full game when it came out. I have not played it on the Pro yet, so I do want to go back. This is on my 2026 list of games to fully replay and then play the DLC, which I believe the DLC is called Burning Shores expansion. I've never played the expansion. I did fully play the game originally when it came out, and again, 10 out of 10 game. Loved the hell out of it. It's amazing. I would say this is probably the best PS5 visuals you'll see this generation. Maybe Wolverine will look better. Spider-Man also looked really good, but these visuals in this game, like when you're deep in the jungle and stuff, and the visuals, oh my god. The foliage and everything, and then when you get to the desert area and then you go to the underwater area and everything, it just looks absolutely stunning on. And my TV, it's a 4K HDR TV, but it's not an OLED, so it's not like the best of the best, but it still looks stunning on that TV. It really does. So this, I would say, even if you find it at $70 for this edition, the complete edition, I would say this is worth $70 because you get a lot of content with this game. It's a really long game. It's a little bit longer than the first one. The actor that played I don't want to say he's the bad guy because he's not. He's kind of like the anti-hero. I forget what his actual name is, and then I don't even actually remember what his name in the game is. He's the guy that was in, he played Irish in Battlefield, and then he was also in the Wire TV show. He died, I think it was last year, if I'm not, like early last in 2025, but he was not the main bad guy, but kind of like the anti-hero. He would help you out from time to time in the story, but then also screw you over. He just played a really good menacing kind of villainy role. And now he's dead in real life, so that kind of sucks that he's not going to be in the third game, because he really kind of pulled the story together in some sense and kind of dragged you along of like the mystery and the intrigue of what was going to come next, Next up, we got a good game here. This one was a little long for my liking, and that being God of War Ragnarok. I think this one stayed a little too long, and it's almost a little just too long for me. Really good game though, really good. I have not played this again on PS5 Pro, so again I'd like to, but being it's such a long game, I feel like I'll get to it eventually, kind of thing. All right, now here's one I bought recently, and I'm kind of hesitant on it. I want to like this game and this franchise and this series, and because everything else from this developer I have enjoyed thoroughly throughout my life. Metal Gear Solid is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and that being a Hideo Kojima. Death Stranding Director's Cut. I recently got this for like $20. The second one is out now. I don't have it yet. Again, I'll probably wait for that to be like $20. I did buy this maybe 6 months after the launch on the PS4 for cheap, and I tried it. I gave it a good try. I played it for like a good 6 to 8 hours. I really tried to like it, and I kind of enjoyed it, but at the same time, it just felt super tedious to play the game. But I really do love and respect Hideo because I love Metal Gear so much. I'm going to give this another shot at some point in time, and then if I made the commitment. If I make my way through this, then I'll treat myself to the second one and play that. Now, arguably, this is probably the best and number one reason to own a PlayStation 5 currently. One of the greatest platformers I've played in a very long time, and platformers are probably my favorite genre, that being Astrobot. Astrobot is phenomenal. It really takes use of the entire PlayStation 5 controller with the speaker, the haptic feedback, the triggers, the gyro, everything. And it does such a wonderful job, and it really packages everything very well. It doesn't overstay its welcome. You really play through each level. Not every level is going to be super difficult. Some of them are really challenging. Some of them are super easy. Some of them are super short. Some of them are super long. There's Horizon-themed levels. There's Killzone-themed levels. There's Uncharted-themed levels. There's Christmas-themed levels. At the end, this came out 24 in one game of the year. The Christmas of 24, they did a bunch of free DLC. Some of them are Christmas DLC. Some of them are just random shit. Has tons of unlocks in this. If you can get this game for like 40 or 50 bucks, especially if you have kids or something, or like a younger cousin or nephews and that kind of stuff, really good to play with them, but also just a really great platform. This is truly one of the best platformers that's come out in a very long time. So this studio, which is now Asobi Studio, is former members of Japan Studio, I believe it was. And that was the people that did Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, Last Guardian, all that stuff. The cool games for Sony that made it unique and made the PlayStation stand out, which never sold well, but they were the cool things that like us gamers and actual collectors and stuff like to get those games because they're cool, they're different, they're unique, they're special. That team got, axed by Sony because Sony now is run by corporate America, not by Japanese people like it should be, because it is was a full Japanese company for PS1, 2, 3, and then like half of PS4. It was fully run by the Japanese people. Now it's largely run by Americans, and frankly, they're screwing the company over and losing its heritage. That's a story for another day, but I'm glad Team Sobi exists. I'm glad that they won Game of the Year because I feel like if they didn't, Sony would have axed the company. Despite the game doing well and selling well, I would almost have to say that them winning Game of the Year allowed them to stay alive. I don't know how many times, as much as I love Astrobot, I don't know how many times you could redo Astrobot games. You could keep adding levels to it and do that, but there's just something different about Mario where they add different power-ups and stuff, and they've just cultivated a way of making new Marios and that kind of thing. What I think they could do would be like a nice 2.5D Astrobot game with different power-ups and stuff. Kind of let the 3D one cool off for a little bit, do a 2.5D game, then bring back like another bigger kind of Mario Odyssey type Astrobot game where the worlds are a little bit bigger and stuff. And I feel like that's how they could keep Astrobot kind of going. But at the same time, I would almost also like to see Team Asobi really just kind of say screw you to the higher-ups in Sony at this point and be like, hey, we still want to make another Shadow of Colossus. We want to make another Last Guardian. We want to make that kind of... Because all those games had a certain type and feel to them. So I'd like to see them make another one in that genre. All right, next stack here. Some pretty good games here in my opinion. This is one of my top 10 games of all time. It can't be beat. It's an amazing game and an amazing series, and that being Last of Us Part 1. I absolutely love The Last of Us. I played it originally on the PS3, then I played it again on PS4, then I played it on the Pro again, then I played it here on the PS5 Pro. And it just looks absolutely amazing. It's just such a wonderful story, and I love it. It really is, in my opinion, a great example of why you should own a PlayStation because, yeah, you can get it on PC, but again, to me, it just feels like a PlayStation game and a franchise. And I know it's kind of cool to rip on The Last of Us now because of the TV show and this and that, and that's fine. I watched 2 episodes, 1.5 episodes of the show, and I was like, this isn't for me. Should it have been an identical 1-for-1 with the game? No. But at the same time, I feel like they changed way too much to where it lost its identity with the TV show. And then also Pedro Pascal, Jesus fucking Christ, him and Sydney Sweeney, do they have to be cast in every fucking TV show and every movie all the time now? It's just every time I look at a movie, oh, Pedro Pascal, and then it's just like, bro, enough with that guy. He's a good actor, but he doesn't have to be in everything. He does not have to be in everything. But yeah, so Last of Us, I really enjoy the game. This is the now definitive version to play it. Next up, we have The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Again, a really wonderful experience here. I don't personally get the hate for the game because it's like a duality story of like Ellie going on a revenge story and then Abby kind of also going on a revenge story. But then toward the end, they kind of make amends and they're like, damn, we were both fighting this crazy battle, but we didn't really have to. It's kind of how I perceived it at the end of the game. And I really enjoyed it. To me, both these games are 10 out of 10 games. Could they have toned down the buffness on Abby? Yeah, it was a little much because realistically, a woman could not look like that without taking some TRT. It's just not possible for the anatomy of a woman to be that fucking jacked. It's just physically not possible. So yes, that was a little weird. But other than that, the story was great. The gameplay was great. The graphics are amazing. And again, for me, console-wise, this is another huge reason to own a PlayStation. Here's a game that we actually beat live streaming during Halloween time, and that being Until Dawn. I was pleasantly surprised how much they enhanced this for the PS5. It's actually like a really fresh coat of paint on the entire game. I went back and watched a bunch of videos of like old footage of PS4 reviews and stuff. This looks like a whole new game on the PS5, and then on the Pro it looks even more amazing. So if you can get this for like $20 to $40, I would say it's worth a playthrough. Even if you played it way back in the day, it was still fun for me to play it again because I picked different choices. Not even intentionally. I just, like, as I've aged and matured, I guess, my brain, I'm like, oh, let's do that choice. And I ended up getting full different cutscenes than I did originally because, I'm like, oh, I've never seen this specific cutscene anymore. All right, so next up we got a pair of games here. We're kind of getting into some horror games here at this point. We got Silent Hill F. So I've played this for a little bit. I need to get back to it. It kind of got sidetracked, but this is a more recent release, so cut me some slack on that one. Beautiful visuals on this game. Looks absolutely phenomenal. Now, Silent Hill 2, I got this, I guess that was 24 when this came out. I did play it a good bit, and I got a decent way through the game, and I really was committing. And then Metal Gear Solid came out, and I was like, well, Metal Gear is one of my top 10 games. I have to play that. So then this got backburnered for a while. Callisto Protocol. We were also live streaming this during the Halloween time period. I need to get back to this and beat that. I guess let me know if you guys still want me to stream the rest of it, because I haven't played anymore since the last time I streamed it. Pretty decent game, honestly. I really enjoyed that. You can get this game for like $5 or $10, so really worth picking up, I would say, on any of the consoles you play it on. Here's another launch title that I did get at launch, and that being Demon's Souls. I need to actually go back and play this and beat it. I know the Souls games are like a huge thing with people, and they're super diehard fans of that. It's not a genre for me, but like I keep wanting to play it because like everybody rants and raves about the Souls games. So I'm like, there's got to be something I'm missing here with these games. And again, this is probably one of the better looking PS5 games to date. Still, even though this was a launch game, it looks absolutely insane. The people over at Bluepoint just do crazy work with the PS4 and 5 for that matter. Dr. Pepper break. Ugh. All right, now here's one I got relatively recently as well. I actually have not even put this into play it yet. This is a console exclusive to the system, and that being Rise of the Ronin. It's Team Ninja. Team Ninja's kind of been on this weird thing where they've been doing the Neo games, and then they did Rise of the Ronin, and then now they're on Neo 3. And they haven't been doing Ninja Gaiden games. Itagaki also recently passed away. Ninja Gaiden games are some of my... definitely a franchise that I really like and appreciate. But without Itagaki, it almost feels not like Ninja Gaiden. So I did start playing Ninja Gaiden 4 on Game Pass, and I was enjoying it, and it looks decent. But the fact that it's not just straight up Ryo Hayabusa in the game is kind of weird to me. It is Platinum Games. Platinum Games is a top-tier developer, no doubt. So gameplay-wise, it's really good. But the story, I don't know. For me, without Itagaki, it's just like, is it really Ninja Gaiden? I mean, he's been there the entire time. Well, he's dead now, but he was there the entire time. Is Dead or Alive or Ninja Gaiden really the same thing without Itagaki? I'm going to say no. And then as far as Rise of the Ronin and then Neo, which is actually coincidentally the next game here, the collection, they're all good games, don't get me wrong. But it just, I don't know, Team Ninja seems weird and distant and not the same without Itagaki. And I don't know if I'm just imagining that, but it just feels not as good without him making behind the helm of the games. He kind of added, he kind of was just like this ridiculous, over-the-top human being with everything that he did and the way his persona was, that like I just feel like he added an extra layer of spice to things, if that makes sense. Look into Itagaki. He lived an interesting life, that's for sure. That man was a chain smoker and just, I don't know, he was just he is the literal embodiment of I don't give a fuck. Next up here we have a really good game. I beat this last year, loved every bit of it. I finally beat it last year because I beat all the way to the end, and then I forget why. I think I like wasn't leveled up enough, or I don't remember, and I just stopped playing it. I got like 95% through the game, and then I committed to it, and I was like, I'm going to play again on the PS5 Pro, fully start from the beginning again, and that being Stellar Blade. As of right now, I don't know if this is on the Xbox. I know it's coming, but I don't know if it is there yet. I know it is on the PC, but again, to me, it's just like, this just makes more sense on the PlayStation with the controller and just all that stuff. And yes, obviously you could play controller on the PC, but I don't know. Some things just seem, for me, on the TV with the controller, just makes more sense to me. But either way, fantastic game, however you do end up playing it. This is worth $70. Even to this day, the visuals alone, the combat, the story, everything to the game is really great. Is she a little over the top with the boobage and the butt? A little bit. But it's made up for with the combat in the game is absolutely phenomenal. And then Shift Up, if I'm not mistaken, they used to make cell phone games, and then now this is their first actual home console game. If this is their first home console game, boy, do I want to see what their second, third, and fourth, and fifth games look like and play like. If this is just their first one, like, god damn, that's insane. So there's that. And then here's another game that's very similar to that, and also same situation where, was this Chinese or Korean? And then Black Myth Wukong, again, Chinese or Korean company, and again, their first game, console game, and I believe they also used to make cell phone games. Black Myth Wukong, I recently started playing this. Oh my god, does this game look goddamn amazing on the PS5 Pro. It is insane when you get into the little jungle area. Just the visuals on that, and then the smoke effects in the game and everything, and the hair, oh my god, everything in this game just looks absolutely phenomenal. The audio, the sound effect, the music, just a really top-notch game. And again, for this being their first venture into like actually making a home console game, again, I'd love to see what their second, third, fourth, and fifth games look like from Game Science. Just, they knocked it out of the park with this. They really did. Both these games were absolutely phenomenal. I need to finish Black Myth Wukong. Now, like I was saying with Silent Hill F, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater kind of pulled me away from playing Silent Hill F, or was it Silent Hill 2? I think I was trying both those games at the same time, and then either way I got distracted from it and started playing Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. This has always been a top 10 game for me, just the PS2, PSP, just that actual game, because it's been released on so many different systems. But the original PS2 release was where I first played it, and that got me into the franchise, and I loved it ever since. And I was ecstatic to get this. And yeah, it didn't run great at the beginning of the release, but whatever. Like, it's a 20-year-old game ported up into Unreal Engine 5 or however they did it. And not everything has to be running perfect in order to appreciate it. Like, you play Metal Gear for the story, you play it for the action-packed gameplay and the stealth gameplay for that matter. The cutscenes, just, the 45-minute Kojima cutscenes, and that's why you play Metal Gear Solid. It doesn't have to be perfect, buttery, smooth 60 frames a second. And for me, I loved every minute of it. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but we have Sackboy chilling here. This actually was a pre-order bonus with Little Big Planet 3 for the PS4 way back in the day. He's always usually chilling on my shelf there in the background, but figured I'd put him here. And that brings us to Sackboy's latest adventure, A Big Adventure. This was also a launch title for the PS5. I really enjoyed it. However, it's not the best. It's a good platformer, but there's just something kind of lacking from it. It doesn't give you that wow factor like Astrobot or a Mario or a Banjo or a Ukulele or a Ratchet or a Jack, Spyro. It just, I don't know why it doesn't give you that good wow factor and that really fun factor, because the actual Little Big Planet games are very fun. However, Sackboy's A Big Adventure, I don't know, it just didn't hit for me the right way, and it just wasn't that great. I don't know what it is, if it's the lack of power-ups, if it's just the level design. The music's not really even memorable or that great in the game. It wasn't a great game. It's not a bad game, but it's not a great game. So if you ever do decide to pick this up, I wouldn't spend any more than $20 on it, if I'm being honest. You're not going to hate it, but you're not going to super love it either. Now here's a game that I actually do really want to get to at some point in time. I'm not a huge LEGO game guy, but LEGO Horizon Adventures, again, this is on everything, but it kind of just makes sense to play this on the PlayStation because it is Aloy and Horizon. So I do want to play this and give this a shot at some point. I picked this up for like $15, brand new, so this game dropped in price pretty heavily, pretty quick. I'm not the biggest LEGO game guy. I liked a couple of them throughout the last 20 years, but there's just so many of them. Like Lego City Undercover was dope on the Wii U system seller. The original Star Wars Lego trilogy was really good. There was a few Lego games over the years that were just really good. But so next up we got a shit ton of RPGs, and then there's one more stack of RPGs after that, and then we're done. I'll try to breeze through these because there's kind of a good bit here. So one thing I did want to show, and I think this looks really killer on a shelf, all of the Square Enix games have a nice white spine with black font on them, and I think that just looks really cool. I kind of wish all of the PS5 games looked like that, not just the Square games, but be that as it may. And then actually there is one game here that is white, but then it has yellow around the words, so it's kind of like it throws it off. But we got Octopath Traveler 0 here. Haven't even had a chance to play this yet. This was a cell phone game that got ported up to consoles. However, apparently they did a really phenomenal job on it, and it actually, like, you can't tell that it was a cell phone game any longer. And apparently it runs really well on all the consoles, and I'm looking forward to playing that. The Octopath Traveler games are very, very well done and very good, from what I've heard. I played Octopath Traveler 1 and really enjoyed that when it came out. 2 I still need to beat, which is actually later in this stack. Then we got Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake. This is on my list this year as well to play. The Daofield Chronicles. So this is the one that has the yellow on the spine as well. So this is kind of Fire Emblem-esque, if that helps you sell you on the game. But instead of like grid-based, it's like a weird circle-y thing. It's different though. So like it's cool that Square Enix was trying something different, right? A lot of these are basically available on every console. However, for me, RPGs just make more sense on the PlayStation. It is kind of just the RPG console and kind of always has been at this, really since post-Super Nintendo. But yeah, so this is an interesting game. I'd like to get around to this eventually. You can get this super cheap. Then we got Dragon Quest HD 2D Remake of 1 and 2. So the correct way to play these would be, this chronologically is 3 and then 1 and then 2. So I need to get to that eventually, and my hope was to do at least 3 this year at some point in time. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. I have beaten most of this. Very decent game. So this is a port up of a PSP game. And yeah, it was a PSP game. So the graphics are more or less like PS3 quality, I would say. You can definitely tell that they're like not quite console quality. But they went in and tweaked the menus and this and that. And it works well enough. It works well enough. And again, that's available on pretty much everything. Final Fantasy, this would be 16? Yeah, 16. I beat this when it first came out. I really enjoyed it very much. Toward the end of the game, though, God, there's just boss fight after boss fight after boss fight after boss fight after boss fight. And there's no little minions sprinkled in between. It's just straight boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, cutscene, 20 more boss fights. And it just goes on for like 2 or 3 hours. You're just doing boss fight after boss fight after boss fight after boss fight. And it's relentless. And then when you finally beat it, you're like, you really kind of do get that super dopamine hit. And you're just like, yeah, I did it. So it is a really good game, but just go in knowing that the last 2 or 3 hours of the game is just like a super grind fest of boss fights. I don't know why that's like such an RPG trope to have that many, but we got Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. Absolutely love this. I know it's kind of divisive to say that you do or don't like the remake. I never played the original when it was back out in the day. I've never even played it, period. So to me, this is Final Fantasy VII, and I really like it. I really enjoyed it. I don't have to apologize for that. I thought it was a very well done game. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Again, I played this, when they both launched. I had an absolute blast with this. It was a wonderful game. I really enjoyed it. They added so much content to that game. I want to say that took me like 60 hours to beat Rebirth. It was wonderful. Then we got Unicorn Overlord here. Really cool game. This is Atlas. My good friend Fancy Action Now, he played the hell out of this game. I remember watching him stream it and play it a lot. Really cool game. Very unique visual style to it. If you're looking for something different, and again, this is available on everything. You're looking for something different and cheap, pick this up. You can get this real cheap, and it's definitely a cool, unique game. We got Romancing Saga, Revenge of the Seven 2. So this came out right around the same time as Dragon Quest 3. I think a month or two before or a month or two after. It was very close to each other. And I feel like Dragon Quest kind of overshadowed Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven. This is also a really fun little game. And I feel like this is kind of easily accessible. Like anybody can pick this up and kind of play it and enjoy it. I had a good bit of fun the little bit that I played of this. Again, it's still on my list to get back to, but at this point, a lot of these I'd have to just restart because I'm like lost in the story. Here's another one. This is old school. So this is Tactics Ogre Reborn. This is more like Final Fantasy Tactics style, where it's like the grid, like legit grid-based style. Really cool game here. Again, I just haven't had time to I haven't even put that in to try it yet. I'll just be honest about it. Octopath Traveler 2. Again, just haven't even had time to put it in yet. It's in the collection. I'll get to it eventually. Here is an interesting RPG that I did actually play a good bit of. Let me pull this last stack up here in a sec. This is Valkyrie Elysium. So I played this a good bit. I would actually like to go back and finish this, and I think I could pick up where I left off. This is just a straight up action hack and slash RPG. I would even say light RPG. There's really not a lot of leveling up in it. This has nothing really to do with the old Valkyrie games on the PS1, which I've never played, but I've always wanted to. They're more pricey, so that's why I've never gotten around to them. Baltimore Retro, he's super into the PS1 RPG, so he always was telling me they were really good. But Valkyrie Elysium, not a bad game, available on everything. I like the art style to it, so it has this really thick bars of black around kind of all the characters and everything, and it kind of gives it almost like a comic book-esque look to the characters, and then they're almost kind of cel-shaded, a little like a light cel shading to everything. It has a really unique, good visual, cool art style to the game, and it really makes it kind of special and pop. The game's downfall, in my opinion, is there's just so much backtracking. You're just constantly playing the same level over. It almost feels like it's an old school handheld game, like an early PSP or DS game where you're just constantly going to the same level over and over again because they had to rehash the same environment with like different tasks in it, is basically what this is. You're going to go to the same level a gazillion times, and it looks very visually appealing and everything, like I said. However, you're just going to the same level over and over again, and for me, it's just I got kind of bored with it because I was like, oh, I want to finish it, and then the story is actually kind of unique and interesting, and it really grabs you, but then it's not cutscenes. It's like a comic book style cutscene, and I'm like, bro, it's 2020s. We're not doing comic book style cutscenes anymore. It would maybe make sense if it were like Comic Zone, then that makes sense to do it. But this is like a legit Square Enix RPG. Why do you have like shitty low budget cutscenes? Like, I get it, this was probably their budget back burner RPG release for the year that this came out, which would have been 22, or at least on the PS5 it was 22. But like the fact that it's got these just like not great cutscenes in it, and then the gameplay's super repetitive. Fun game, and like I said, I do want to finish it, but you can kind of tell that it was a budget title. Next up, we got. Actually, I guess let's do this last Square Enix. Or actually, that is not the last Square Enix game. We got Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles. This came out very recently. Again, I haven't even. I put it into update. All these RPGs are in PS5, fully updated and everything, but I just haven't had time to get around to it yet. Suikoden 1 and 2, essentially the HD remasters. I did start playing Suikoden 1, and I was enjoying it, but then I got sidetracked by another game, the never-ending backlog. So I do want to get back to those eventually, but I haven't had time. Here's another Square Enix game. This was originally a PS4 game, and then this just got ported up to the modern consoles, and that being Star Ocean: The Divine Force. I like the Star Ocean games. I'm newer to them. With that being said, though, I've heard that this is kind of one of the weaker ones in the series. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this one and the series in general. I've recently beat another one in here somewhere. The second R is the one that I beat early in 23, I think it was. And then there was another one that I played as well on a different console, but I don't even remember what console it was at this point. Too many games that I've beaten over the years. Here's one that I also got around Christmas time for myself as well, so I haven't even had a chance to play it yet, and that being Metaphor ReFantazio. I don't think this won straight up Game of the Year. Oh no, I guess it did. I guess it did win Game of the Year in 24. Oh, Best RPG in 24 from the Game Awards. So that's why I really wanted to give this a shot. I'm typically not an Atlas guy. I don't think this has any of the high school bullshit that the Persona games have. Don't kill me, but for me, I just can't deal with the whole high school musical thing of the Persona games. It's just not for me. So I believe this doesn't have that, so I do want to actually give this a shot because it looks kind of all right. Expedition 33 was my personal game of the year last year. I just absolutely loved it. I fell in love with it, and then I actually beat it again just now, a couple weeks ago, again in 2026 on the PC. Max settings, it looked absolutely wonderful, beautiful, wonderful experience. Definitely a must-own and a must-play game for sure, no matter what console you have it on. Next up here, you know what? I actually have... There's one more that's a big box game. It's the only big box PS5 game I have, so I got to grab that. We have, I guess in order, so this is Ys 8 Lacrimos of Dana, or Dana. I think it was Dana. Or no, it was Dana. And then the complete edition comes with the soundtrack and then a nice colorful manual and everything. These three games are actually getting kind of pricey. These are probably some of the more pricey PS5 games to collect. This one specifically is the second most common, I guess you could say. Ys 9, Monstrum Nox, and then again CD soundtrack and the booklet. This is probably the hardest one of the three to find. Very difficult game to find at this point in time, especially on the PS5 for some reason. Easy to find all these on the PS4, but the PS5 versions, they're kind of difficult to find. And then we got Ys 10 Nordics, which unfortunately NIS decided that we no longer get physical CDs, which I, for one, actually do use the CDs. I put them in to the computer, and then occasionally I sprinkle the music throughout some of my videos and stuff, typically to my chagrin, where most of you guys are like, don't put the music in the videos, we don't like it. So I haven't been doing that. But that does suck that there's no longer a physical CD in there. I loved this game. Absolutely amazing RPG. The visuals in this game are not the best because this was originally a Vita game, and then it got ported up to PS4, Switch, and I think maybe on the Xbox, I don't know, and PC. and then now it's even ported up to the PS5. So the visuals haven't aged the best. However, you play the Ys games for the gameplay and the story for that matter, but not necessarily the visuals because they've never been visual stunner games. Ys 9 and then Ys 10. And then they have another Ys. I don't know if it's Ys 11 that's coming out or if it's just kind of like a sequel to this, like Ys 10 and a half kind of thing, because it's also the Nordics type thing, and then it has the girl in it as well. So someone correct me in the comments down below. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here of stuff. These are actually 3 more Square Enix games. We got Visions of Mana. My good friend Philberto beat this last year, and he said it was pretty good. It took him like 40 or 50 hours, and it took him quite a while to beat it. He said it was pretty good, but kind of repetitive. Visually, a really good-looking game. I remember playing the demo, so at some point I'll get to it. Fantasia Neo Dimension. When this came out, this was hard as shit to find. I remember that, and then now it's like $30, and it's not at all hard to find. So, cool game, though. I like this one specifically because of the diorama aspect of the level design and everything. They made real-world dioramas and then scanned them into the game and everything, and it's just a really wonderful-looking game that you're gonna, I think, should be in your collection. A lot of these are just really good RPGs that deserve to be in your collection. Star Ocean: The Second Story R. Wonderful game here. The story, the music, the visuals, just everything about the game, very well done. It really captures the story and everything from the PS1 and like kind of brings it into the modern era. And just, I had a really good time playing this game. I really did. Tales of Arise. I beat this last year and talked about that in my Beat It 2025 games. Really good game here. Toward the end, though, well, technically I didn't beat it. And like I said in the Too Many Beat It 2025 episode, I got like 98% of the way done. And then at the end of the game, you get to this castle. It's like a living castle. And there's like 6 circles that you have to go through, and they're like teleporters. And then it's like a multi-stage boss fight where you have to fight them all. Then you fight the last one. I just, why is that? Someone who's more into RPGs than me, again, I'm trying to be, and I enjoy them. Someone who's more into RPGs than me, why is that a trope at the end of an RPG to have boss fight, 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 just dozens of boss fights at the end of the game where it's just like so overwhelming, and then you don't even get to heal in between, and then you run out of heals and this and that, and it's just like, for me, I don't know if there's something I'm missing where it's like I should know in my head that it's coming and I need to like go buy 1,000 medical herbs and then be ready for it, or like if I'm just like not leveled up enough to every time or that kind of thing, because like I don't know. Then we got Trials in the Sky first chapter. I did play that briefly. It's a good little hack and slash RPG. Let me go grab the big box game. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so the last one here, and I always forget about it because on the shelf it's just like it's a white box like that. This is another Ys game. This is Ys Memoir, The Oath in Felghana. Really nice little package here. This is the only way you can buy this, at least currently, or when it launched, rather. I don't know if it comes in a standard edition now. Typically, space-wise, I like to just get the standards, just because they take up less room. However, this isn't too big, but it does also take up a decent bit of room. And I just, as you know from all the episodes, I don't have a ton of room to put a bunch of games like I used to. But you know, it's a really nice little piece and comes with a bunch of cool stuff, but I kind of wish it just came with just the standard edition, you know, by itself, but it is what it is. So that is the entire PS5 collection that I have. I no longer have my original PS5. I sold that off. I just have the Pro here. I do recommend getting the Pro. A lot of people harp on it and say, oh, it's not worth it, this, that, and the third. But if you have a good 15 to 20 games, mostly the first party stuff, all of them have been fully enhanced with 60 FPS, better visuals, and then you can prioritize stuff. And then even with like big Konami games and Square Enix games, and really any big company really takes full advantage of the Pro. So to me, it is worth owning the Pro. It's just a wonderful system. I've loved every bit of the PS5 generation. I think now with the RAM crisis and the graphics card crisis and the SSD crisis and all that stuff going on because of the dumbass AI global shortage that we're having. I do believe that the PS5 and Xbox Series generation will last longer, which I'm okay with. I didn't used to be okay with that. However, as I've gotten older, I'm now okay with it. Originally, like back in NES, Super, 64, GameCube to Wii, all those, and to me, Nintendo is the console generation leader in the sense that Nintendo, whether you like it or not, dictates where consoles are going. They dictate the generation because they just do, okay? Both Microsoft and Sony copy everything Nintendo does. Nintendo is the godfather of gaming. Whether you like it or not, it's just the truth. Everything Nintendo does, both of them copy in some regard, okay? So you had NES, what was it, 85 in America, I think, and then SNES was 91, N64 was 96, GameCube was 01, Wii was 06. So again, it was a 5 or 6 year gap between each of those. That was a standard old affair, 5 or 6 years. And then from Wii to Wii U, I think that would have been 2012 from 06, so about 8 years on that one. And then Wii U to Switch was 12 to 17, so 5 years on that. And then Switch to Switch 2 was 7 years on that. So roughly 7 or 8 is now Nintendo's new standard that they do, which I'm okay with. Well, less so with Nintendo. And I'll say because of the graphical capabilities of Nintendo is why I'm less so with them. But as far as Microsoft and Sony go, I kind of want those to last longer because if they're going to keep doing these mid-gen refreshes, I'm okay with it, but I want it to last longer. So like I got that about almost 2 years ago at this point, I think. So I'd still like to get a good another 3 years out of that, which would put us into about 2028 is when I'd like the new PlayStation 6 to come out. And that's kind of where the rumors are leading us, that 2028 is where the new PS6 will come out. And I'm kind of okay with that. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the collection, what games I should add, which games you've played and beaten. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's much appreciated. Peace out for now, guys. Till next time.
Come here, you mother... This is it, baby.